Hello, I'm Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I want to preface this video by giving a little bit of background information of the new types of posts I want to start including on my website and YouTube channel. So for these past few weeks I've been having obviously quite a few health problems, and it makes it difficult to actually function properly. On the other hand, I still have my brain functioning, and I come up with various kind of conversational topic ideas I want to write about. So over the past couple of weeks I've been just putting my thoughts down in point form, and then I just put them all together to create these meta snapshots. Basically, the idea is I want to start talking about various mechanics or gameplay aspects in pad that are not necessarily review related. They're more so conversational pieces. They just are a way for you to kind of open up and start talking about what is happening in pad that's not necessarily a review-based article. Regardless, for this meta snapshot, I want to talk about how we can possibly revitalize old Pantheon cards, because I've come to the conclusion that super reincarnated evolutions are just not that powerful. They take an exorbitant amount of resources to actually create in terms of monster experience and difficult to acquire evolution materials. And the thing is, the people who can acquire these and actually develop them to the point where they're usable are those who don't actually need these cards. They are okay cards. Maybe they can be modest, but they're never going to be that powerful. And usually the people who can benefit the most from this are the newer accounts, but they have no way of actually acquiring all that monster experience or beating those descends, etc. So they're just in a place where you roll Pantheon cards, and there are only a couple that are truly valuable at this point in time, I feel. Most of them just kind of languish in obscurity. And I've basically kind of come to the conclusion that we are now enjoying an era or meta of high rarity seasonal and collab cards, which makes it just difficult to actually justify Pantheon cards, because now in Super Godfest you roll and a Pantheon card is the collateral benefit. But the thing is, we don't want those Pantheon cards. If you roll in a strong collab seasonal like, say, Fujimi Fantasia, you are actually reasonably happy with the bottom rarity cards. They do provide value. Or like, say, Power Rangers, same sort of idea. So it's kind of getting to the point where Super Godfests are becoming less and less appealing, because 2/3 of the rolls really don't have any value whatsoever. And in my opinion, Super Reincarnate Evolutions obviously don't work. And what instead would be better is giving them weapon assists. And as mentioned already, the current state of the game is kind of following the trend that we need high rarity seasonal and collab cards from many different events, which is a topic that I've actually wrote about in a different article. But the idea is that you have to roll in so many different events to acquire these high rarity cards to be usable. And if we take a look at just this example, solo Altarena 3 clear that I have, one of my early, I think this is my first Altarena 3 clear, and obviously it could be refined possibly further, but the point of the matter is I have one farmable inherit, which is Halloween Pumpkin, which is incredibly strong, which I'm surprised Gung Ho is generous with. One farmable sub in air. Again, any dark team is a little easier to build because we can use air on a regular basis. And then I have Zuo's Weapon Assist as a former 5-star Godfest exclusive. So those are the easy to acquire cards. Everything else is a top rarity or a high rarity seasonal collab card or a 7-star Godfest exclusive. This is not an easy team to build. I've managed to build it up over time just because I've played for such a long time, and I've gotten lucky as well. And this is actually quite normal. If I look at my other teams that I used to clear Altarena 3, most of the cards are just luxuriously high-end. You can't acquire them on a regular basis. And the only Pantheon card I really truly use is Diao Chan. And other than that, most of them just don't exist. But if we go back a couple of years, Puzzle and Dragons was so much more friendly in terms of building teams that can tackle endgame content. If you look at the team building articles I've written a long time ago for Yusuke, Dark Athena, and Light Miru, they included many Pantheon cards. Miru is a farmable, Dark Athena is quote-unquote farmable. Yusuke is a top rarity collab card, but it was a 5-stone event, which means it was easier to trade for. And the point of the matter is, it was a lot more open in terms of what you can build. And maybe this is because my box has actually developed more over time, so I actually have more spicy cards or options to use. But I honestly feel like Gung Ho has really shifted their focus away from Pantheon cards to collab seasonal cards, because I feel like that's where the money really is. Because when you think about it, it's a separate egg machine, so you have to roll it in order to get those cards. You can't get those cards any other way, so you must spend magic stones. So they want to make them at least reasonably appealing, so then you roll there. And that's basically just the process that we've been following. And For example, like something like Monster Hunter, when it first came out, or at least when it first had those weapon assists, it was incredibly strong because you could get those bottom rarity cards and actually have a use for them. Similar, they have technically worse rolling rates for the higher rarity cards, but compared to Super Godfest, but with Super Godfest, you roll the bottom Pantheon cards and you're not happy. There's no use for them. So they're just kind of this weird limbo Pantheon cards. They're not actually doing something great, and 2/3 of the time, they will pop out. So, how would weapon assists help this situation? Well, the basic idea is that weapon assists have become vital to team building because we now essentially have 6 team slots, 2 leaders, 4 subs, and 6 inherits. And those inherits often play key roles in acquiring specific awakenings to counter various dungeon mechanics. So initially with weapon assists, they were basically only used to cover the resists of like jammer, poison, and blind, and they weren't tremendously efficient. It was difficult to actually acquire 100% resistance without having an exorbitant amount of weapon assists dedicated to that cause. For example, this is obviously an extreme case, but 5 Trojan horses gives you 100% resist. That's 5 out of your 6 inherit slots. That's not what people necessarily did, but it was kind of a similar idea. We'd spend like say 4 inherits to cover all the resists, like say 2 of the 60% from Monster Hunter, and then 2 Trojan horses, let's say. That was actually reasonably easy to do. But again, 4 out of 6 inherits are dedicated to resist. So we didn't have much flexibility in those regards. We needed weapon assists to get those resists in order to play through content. At this point in time, we actually have much stronger options available. We have weapon assists that can provide 4 different resists, so then again, it makes it easier to hit that 100%. We have super resist, so that is basically 5 awakenings built into 1. You use Diao Chan as a sub, you use Gori as a sub, you have 100% blind and 100% poison resist with just 2 cards, and their inheritance spot is open. So much easier to team build. So now we have a bunch of these flex slots, so to speak. We can actually have a lot more variety in team building, and it allows us to either cater to the specific dungeon needs, but it means we also can possibly bring actives we actually want to have, or passive damage through rose and orb enhances, which are all important for helping you push through harder content when things have higher health pools. So, for example, Yellow Ranger's weapon assist would have been quite lackluster, I feel, at least a couple years ago, because it only provides a single poison resist, and it has enhanced heal orb, time extend. Like, they are nice to have, but at the start with weapon assist, we needed to have more resist to truly make it work because we didn't have as many options. But now, at this point in time, I feel like it's much stronger because, as mentioned beforehand, that 1 poison resist might be helpful to hit that 100% because we're getting poison resist more easily, let's say, and it becomes a matter of just trying to maximize your inheritance slot to not waste awakenings. Throwing on a Trojan horse when you have full blind resist is kind of wasteful, and the active from Trojan horse is probably less powerful than Yellow Ranger's weapon assist. Yellow Ranger's weapon assist is quite strong. You get hearts, you get light orbs, you also remove all bind and awoken binds, and it's reasonably fast to charge up. So I find myself using this weapon assist much more often now, and that enhanced heal orb helps counteract RCV debuffs if placed on subs like, say, Diao Chan, who have naturally high RCV. The point of the matter is weapon assists can be much more varied in what they do and still function just because we have access to stronger options. So with this in mind, if we give Pantheon cards a modest or a little bit less than amazing, like not an amazing weapon assist, just an average weapon assist, it can be okay, it would give them so much more value because when we can mix in stronger weapon assists or we utilize cards like Phenom who have natural resists already, it makes it easier to hit that 100%. So if Pantheon cards had a weapon assist that gave maybe a couple of enhanced orbs, or maybe like a blind or a poison resist, or something along those lines, they give at least a bit of value, it would make them actually be used more often. Their active skills can be quite powerful. For instance, Gabriel's active skill, I think is actually reasonably strong. You get water, you get hard orbs, you get a 30% max heal, which can be obviously important on teams with higher amounts of health. But to use Gabriel as a sub is less ideal because those auto heal awakenings are naturally less valuable. They don't contribute enough. But if you inherit him as a orb changer and he provides either a bit of resist or passive damage, suddenly this is actually a desirable card. I'm not saying Pantheon cards have to be super strong with their weapon assist. I just want them to have a weapon assist that provides some value. That way we can mix and match our team compositions and then give more motivation to at least roll in Super Godfest where 2/3 of those cards are Pantheon monsters. So I do understand that the concept of having stronger cards means weaker ones have to exist, but the gap has grown too large to the point where so many cards are now becoming obsolete, and it's just kind of like, oh, new collab, new season, must roll, keep going, and we just ignore all these hundreds of cards that we've acquired in the past, which I think is not necessarily the best idea moving forward. Regardless, this is personally my opinion, and I feel like that's a way to at least revitalize the Pantheon aspect of this game. So let me know what you think about these types of articles, as well as the concept of Pantheon cards actually having weapon assists in the future. Do you think it'd be a bad or a good idea, or do you like the way things are currently? Either way, hopefully you all have a Mantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.